Hello friends and welcome to my channel. My name is Jess, I'm the creator of Pinkrex, and today I wanted to share with you the top 5 plants I checked off my wish list this year. I make videos about plants, video games, and lots more, so if you like that kind of content and you haven't done this already, please offer to help the like button cross the street, but run away as soon as the walk signal comes on. Also, please subscribe to the channel down below and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my future uploads. Yeah. I originally wanted to call this video my top wish list plants from this year, but I thought that was a little bit misleading because I did acquire a couple of them back in 2022, but between November of 2022 and now I moved from Wisconsin to New York, so everything has been a little bit of a jumbled mess, but now that I have my setup back, I'm ready to start making videos again and ready to start sharing my plants with you. Also important to note, but my wish list for plants, like my top 3, kind of rotates every other week, I would say, but a lot of these plants have been on my top 10 of the wish list for a very long time. With all that being said, the first plant I want to share with you is Variegated Philodendron Giganteum, or Philodendron Giganteum Blizzard. I'm sure that there's some difference between the two, a varietal difference of some kind. This one was just sold as a Variegated Philodendron Giganteum. This is my teeny tiny baby little guy. I'll put some pictures of his newest leaf next to me just so you can see how cool the variegation is. I was really excited to get this guy. I had been looking for it for quite some time, and I managed to find one at Down to Earth Greenhouse in Eau Claire. That's where I've gotten many of my wish list plants from over the years, and I just absolutely love them. They are a wonderful, wonderful greenhouse. If you're in Wisconsin and looking for unusual plants, or even if you're in Minnesota and you're looking for unusual plants, it's 100% worth the trip to just go over and see what they have, because they often have some rare plants on clearance too, and that's actually how I got one of the other plants on this list, was from their clearance rack. It was 40% off and I split it with a friend, but I'll get to that one. I'm not sure if the variegated form gets as large as the non-variegated form. If you look at my previous videos, you'll see behind me I have a really big Philodendron Giganteum that's just the non-variegated form. That one I would say is still one of my #1 favorite plants in my entire collection. Before the move, I did chop it up into nodes. While I was selling that one, it was the middle of frigid winter time, and so I had to like double bag all of them and wrap them in sphagnum moss with the roots. And I still have a 4-leaf cutting that's just vibing in some leca on top of my ladder shelf until I can find a more permanent situation for a plant that big. Because I have a lot of big plants and the space that we have here is a little bit smaller. But my #1 wish list plant for a long time was Variegated Philodendron Giganteum, so it ended up working out pretty well that I just happened to stumble across one day. I'm very excited about him, and I can't wait to see him get bigger, because right now he is quite small. The next wish list plant that I was lucky enough to be able to check off this past year is Philodendron Billietiae, or Philodendron Billie. Truthfully, I don't usually say the full word Billietiae just because I don't know, I just don't. I'm lazy. That one was another one that I managed to snag from Down to Earth Greenhouse Center. Oh my gosh, 4 of the 5 plants I have that I checked off are from Down to Earth. I miss that greenhouse so much. Overall, I would say most of their plants are reasonably priced, especially the rarer ones for what they are. Obviously, collector plant prices fluctuate a lot. This is the Philodendron Billietiae that I managed to pick up. It was $40 from Down to Earth Greenhouse Center in Eau Claire, and I hope that was a piece of moss and not some funky little caterpillar. It's gone. I don't know what, it's gone. But as you can see, it's got that pretty orange stem that everybody's kind of after with this plant. I've seen it where they have just a plain green stem and plain green leaves, but they still get absolutely massive. But overall, I would say that this plant has done really well. It's pushed out 2 new leaves since I got it, and every leaf seems to be a little bit bigger than the last. And I know that this isn't like the huge leaves that you see pictures of, but it is still so exciting for me to be able to see this thing grow and get bigger with each new leaf, and I'm so excited to see how big it's gonna get. It does have some roots that are kind of reaching back and grabbing onto the moss pole that it's on. I am going to switch this out for a moss pole with a solid plastic back just because of how skinny it is. Like, look at it's just very skinny, and it's still in the original soil I got it in. And I do want to change it out to a better aeroid soil mix. This is just kind of like a nursery soil. It's still good, it's well draining. It's just a lot, I think, more peat heavy than I'm used to with my other aeroids. So I will get this guy kind of swapped out once I feel like he's good to go, and I'm gonna wait until this newest leaf opens up because I don't want to shock him because it can cause the leaf to come out a little bit malformed. And I would like to keep this trend of having a bigger leaf each time going, you know? I didn't mean this to feel like an advertisement for Down to Earth Greenhouse Center. They just have really good plants. And they're really my favorite greenhouse, I would say, that I have ever been to in terms of plants that you don't see at other greenhouses. There is another really good greenhouse here called West Seneca Greenhouse. I have gotten a couple of plants from there. The last plant I'm going to talk about is actually from West Seneca Greenhouse, but it's kind of a special case. The number 3 wish list plant that I got, oh my god, this past year, and you'll find that they just keep getting bigger, is Philodendron 69686. It feels like a math problem, and I kind of like that, I'm not gonna lie. But this one was actually on clearance. It was originally $250, and it was twice as tall as this. Obviously, you can see that this part is a second stem that's come up because I chopped it. Oh, lost a little sheath there, but that's okay. I ended up splitting this one from one of my friends, my planty friends from Instagram. She took the top cutting and I took the bottom cutting. I think I truthfully got way more stem than her, but we each got an equal number of leaves. Actually, when this newest node came out and was growing upwards, it was running straight into the underside of another leaf that was almost identical to this one. It's just popped in a jar with a couple of cuttings. I have a Bromarx cutting, and I have an Esqueleto node, and then I have the cutting from my 69686. You can see that the leaf is pretty much the same as these ones. This node was bumping directly against the bottom of it, and it was starting to curl. So I just went ahead and chopped it off, and it's rooting really well in water, and I'm actually trading this one with another friend from Instagram through the mail this week. I'm trading this one for a Monstera Adansonii aurea. I think it's like a 4-leaf baby plant, but I'm very, very excited because that one is another wishlist plant that I'll be checking off. I highly encourage you to reach out to your planty friends on social media just to see if they want to do a swap with you if you see that they have a plant that you're after. I would say most of the time I've had good success with that, so it's worth a shot. But this one is rooted really well, and I'm really excited for her to get it, and I'm excited to have the Adansonii aurea. One thing I will say about this plant is that it is so funky that it just, looking at it, that's why I was completely mystified by it. I don't have words for it. It's just really, really a funky guy, and it makes me very happy. I do think that I'm going to air layer the bottom portion of it and then chop the bottom bit into nodes and see if I can't trade them with someone or get them rooted in something different, just because I can see that they all have little growth points that are waiting to activate. And this one actually looks like it is. It is activated! Oh my gosh. Well, that's exciting. But I can see that it wants to do more with its existence, and I'm just gonna try to facilitate that as best I can, as you do with all plants. But the newest leaf is, as you can see, a little bit smaller, but I'm thinking it's gonna keep getting a little bit bigger for a bit, and once it hardens off, I'll have a better idea of how big the next leaf is gonna be, because it's starting on a new leaf already. And this is all since moving to New York in January. It is currently March 20th when I'm filming this, so in just under 2 months, it's pushed out a new leaf, and 1, 2, 3, 4 new nodes. If I chopped it right next to the stem, I'd have 4 whole nodes just in the past 2 months, and it doesn't get any real direct sunlight except for very briefly in the afternoon. So this plant is super, I would say, easygoing so far, and just makes me really happy, and is just a really, really funky guy. The number 4 plant that I checked off my wish list is one I mentioned just a minute ago. It's Monstera Esqueleto, and I actually found this one at Down to Earth while I was visiting home the first time about a month ago. So I've had this one for a month. It did have a pretty bad bout of spider mites when I first got it, but it seems that a couple of sprays with neem oil and insecticidal soap, along with some diatomaceous earth around the base, was able to kind of mitigate the spider mites from continuing. I'm hoping to keep that sort of health train rolling. Just in case, though, I am gonna scoot these guys up and away from where the Esqueleto is gonna be. He's right behind me, but I don't like to put him super close to my other plants just because I worry that if he did still have any spider mite remnants, he might be able to spread them, because that's how plant pests spread. I will grab it over just so you can see how gigantic this plant is. I was surprised that it fit in the back of the car on the way home, but I'm so happy that I was able to find it, and this plant, in its current form with 2 large mature stems and big mature leaves, was just over $100. So I would say a very good price for this plant being as big as it is. I mean, looking at those leaves, they're bigger than my head. They would work as an excellent hat. Maybe not. They have holes in them, but you get the gist. There is one leaf that has a snapped main vein, so I will probably cut that one off just because it's so sad that it's always bent all the time. But this plant I've been thinking about pretty much nonstop since the first time I saw it, probably just about 2 years ago. And previously, when I saw it, it was one stem, I think with 4 or 5 leaves in a pot. I'll put the picture that I'm thinking of right next to me. And that plant was about $450. This plant being just over $100 for 2 big stems and many, many leaves, I couldn't pass up on it. I saw it the first day that I went to Down to Earth while I was visiting home, and there was 5 plants available. And then a day and a half later, I went back because I had kind of like a reunion with a childhood friend, and we wanted to go to the greenhouse. And this was the only one they had left, so I couldn't say no, I had to get it. And they also got a plant too. They got a snake plant. So it was very exciting. Both got a plant. Good planty kind of day, you know. This one, even though I have it in here kind of for show to film the video, sits right over me at night, and I fall asleep looking at its leaves because it sits on the nightstand, and it's just really, really perfect. So I love it so much. My last plant, you might have guessed, I haven't mentioned it, but I got it from West Seneca Greenhouse. I bought 5 raffle tickets out of 100 raffle tickets to win this huge Monstera Constellation. And I was just visiting in November before, you know, the whole move happened from Wisconsin to New York, just visiting to kind of scope out the area. I stopped in at the greenhouse, and the gal was so nice and chatted me up, and I bought a Philodendron White Wizard as well because they were only $30 there. She was like, hey, we're selling raffle tickets to win this Monstera. It also had a sign, but she just mentioned it. And I was like, oh, I see that. And originally I was like, well, give me 3. Actually, give me 5. So I bought 5. And, you know, one of them ended up winning. And that raffle actually did so well that they ended up holding another one to sell off their other big Thai constellation. And then they got in a whole shipment of baby Thai constellations. And those they still have a few of. I think right now they're $70 for a 4-inch pot. To me, that seems like a very reasonable price to find a juvenile Thai constellation in its pot. Even some of those pots even have like a little baby stem coming up next to them. They have 2 stems in them. I'm not even sure how I could get this plant in the shot completely. It is absolutely ginormous, but I'm gonna try. For you, I'm gonna try. Oh my goodness. Well, this is the plant. This is my big Thai constellation. You can kind of see the biggest leaf up on top there, and it does have a brand new leaf starting to come out of the sheath underneath. I'm so excited. Overall, I would say this plant has been a little bit finicky. It's a big mature plant, yes, but it does have a lot of browning that happened when I brought it home. It's not in a full sun kind of environment anymore. It does get, you know, regular water, and I shake it around a lot, and I move it around in the house to try to get it as much natural light as possible. But realistically, the light variegation on this plant has just been a little bit of a challenge for me. So I'm hoping that in a couple months, when we move to a bigger space, I'll find a little bit more natural light for him. But for right now, he just sits, and he gets the most natural light of any plant in my collection, I would say, because he sits pretty close to the window, and that the room next to me is much smaller than the room I'm filming in, but that's the bedroom. And that one gets flooded with natural light in the, you know, early afternoon to late afternoon. So, overall. But this is by far the biggest plant I own, and definitely one of the coolest plants I own. So I'm very, very happy that it worked out the way it did, and I'm very happy I visited when I did, and picked up a couple raffle tickets, because this is definitely like a dream plant, like a plant that I never thought I would be able to own. So, just for transparency purposes, the tickets were $10 each, so I bought $50 worth of tickets, and this plant exactly here in New York costs about $800. I remember there was a time about a year ago in Eau Claire at Down to Earth Green Center that they had plants almost to this size of Thai constellations, very mature, very big, beautiful leaves, and those ones were selling for $1,400 a piece, which is just nuts to me. So within a year, regionally speaking, they went from roughly $1,400, and then when I was visiting home in January, they were listed at $999. So, little price comparison. This one was $7.99 plus tax if I would have paid, you know, the price for it, but I was lucky enough to win it with a raffle, so I'll take it. I'm gonna put it back. Oh my god, it's like 1 million pounds. Okay. Whew. Huh. Alright. Whew. Oh, that was a whole thing. But that's gonna do it for today, guys. That was the top 5 plants that I got to check off my wish list this year. If you like this video, if you got something out of today's video and you haven't done this already, please offer to help the like button cross the street, but run away as soon as the walk signal comes on. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my future uploads. I am hopefully going to be uploading more now that I have a setup, so keep an eye out for that. I have a ton of content over on TikTok under the same handle as I am everywhere else. It's just PinkRex with 2 X's. So whether I see you on another platform like TikTok or Instagram or down in the comment section below, please comment something. Just know I really appreciate you being here and I still have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, thanks, bye! I can't wait for this one to be bigger though. Can't wait for it to have the big leaves. I'll put it on a moss pole. It'll be my little, I'll have my little regular Giganteum and my little variegated Giganteum and it'll just be a good Giganteum time. It's gonna be big. Gonna be huge.